Do I regret buying my home? I'm gonna be honest with you. There was a time that I did. And if you recently bought a home or you're just about to and you've had that sinking feeling of, wait, did I or am I going to make a huge mistake? I get it. For context, I bought my condo in Toronto in 2023. It was a studio in a very good location in the high 400,000s, and my mortgage rate was around 4.5%, which at that time did not feel cheap at all. I made the minimum down payment of 5% and used the home buyer's plan, which helped a lot. I also got some first-time home buyer benefits like the land transfer tax rebate. Now, after I bought my condo, there was a stretch of time where prices didn't really move the way I hoped they would. The price of a similar condo to mine actually went down, and I remember thinking, wow, I didn't expect this at all. There was a very short time period where I questioned my decision, as in, should I have not bought a condo? Should I have just continued to rent my place at the time, which only cost me $1,200 per month back then? So it might surprise you if I say that now, 3 years later, after buying my home, I actually do not regret buying it. On the contrary, buying my condo was one of the best decisions I ever made. Not because buying a home is always the right decision. Not because real estate always goes up like some people say. And definitely not because home ownership is automatically a good investment for everyone. It worked for me because of a few very specific conditions. And if those same things are true for you, there's a good chance you may not regret it either. So in this video today, I want to walk you through the reasons that I don't regret buying my condo, what I think I got right, and hopefully this can clear up any doubts you may have about your own purchase or help you to make your decision. Quick note guys, this is not financial advice, this is just financial entertainment. I'm just sharing my experience. So let's dive in. So the first reason I don't regret buying my home was that I did not buy my home mainly as an investment. Yes, when I bought my condo, of course, I hoped it would appreciate fast. But the reality was that I didn't buy my condo at some magical moment when prices and interest rates were super low. But after some thinking, I realized something really important. And I urge anyone who's bought a home or is about to buy a home to really think about this. In those moments of doubt, I was judging my home the way I would judge a stock. I was assessing its performance. Did the price go up? Would I have made a profit if I sold it now? And the answer was no. But that's the first instinct that people have when they think about home buying. Now guys, there's nothing wrong with investing in property for price appreciation and profit. But when you're buying a home, your first and perhaps only home to live in and build a life with your family, then that fast appreciation is not the primary criteria. At least it wasn't for me, as I luckily realized. That shift in perspective changed everything for me. The biggest reason that I wanted to buy a home was that I wanted to own my home. I wanted a place that was mine, that belonged to me. A place where no landlord could suddenly increase the rent, sell the unit, move their family in, or tell me what I could or couldn't do in the space. And for me, that meant a lot because growing up, my family moved around a lot. We lived in rented places and changed homes every few years. So as an adult, having a home that I owned gave me something I valued very deeply, which was security. That security is hard to put in a spreadsheet, and I think that's the first big consideration. If you're buying a home mainly because you think your home will make you rich, I think that is a very dangerous mindset because your primary residence is often not your best performing asset. It may appreciate over a long period, yes, but usually not in a straight line and not always better than other investments. But if you're buying because you want to have a sense of ownership, control, and peace of mind, that is a different calculation. That being said, it's not all emotions. Next are some financial reasons for why I don't regret buying my home. The second reason I don't regret buying my home is that my home acts like a rent hedge. And I'm using this term very loosely here. Here's the thing, guys. Over the long term, owning a home gives me more control around my biggest monthly expense, which is the cost of shelter. At the time I bought my condo, my mortgage payment was almost $2,700 a month. And granted, it was more expensive than renting a similar unit, which rented for about $2,200 at that time. So purely based on that, buying looked more expensive. But I was thinking long term. Here's the thing that people often miss. Even though now in the short term rent prices are down, in the long term rent tends to go up, especially in major cities like Toronto and Vancouver. But what about rent controls? As you may know, in Ontario, if you occupied a place before November 15, 2018, you're protected by rent increase guidelines. So your rent can't go up by 2% per year or whatever the cap is that year. But if that's not the case, then it's really hard to predict. If today I rent a place for $2,200, who knows how much I will need to pay for it in 5 to 10 years from now. It could be $2,700, the same as what I pay for my mortgage now, but it could also be $3,500 by then. So owning my home and paying mortgage payments gives me more predictability around my housing costs. Your mortgage payment can change when you renew, yes. Condo fees can also go up, property taxes can go up, insurance can go up. So I don't want to oversimplify this. But the big difference is that you are not fully exposed to market rent forever. So again, this may not apply to you. If you occupied your place before 2018 and you're only paying like $1,000 for a 2-bedroom apartment, which is a super awesome deal, so perhaps renting is better for you. Now here's the third reason why buying a home worked out for me and I don't have regrets about it. At that time, we bought a home at a price that was below what we could technically afford. There was temptation to buy a bigger place, yes, but I'm very glad that we did not buy the absolute maximum amount of home that we could have stretched for. Our down payment was only about $25,000, and importantly, we still had a multiple amount in savings outside of that. We did not pour everything that we had into the home. And this is where I think regret can start for a lot of people, because once you put all of your cash into your home, you can become very fragile financially. You lose flexibility, you lose breathing room, and now if your income drops or a big expense shows up, the whole thing starts to feel stressful very quickly. That's the kind of situation I think I would have regretted. And that's why I think affordability has to be thought through really carefully. The question of how much home you can really afford to buy. We decided that we wanted to buy a home comfortably, even if that meant buying the cheaper and much smaller studio apartment. It meant we could always easily make the payments and sleep well at night. And here's another thing that I did back then to ensure that I could sleep well at night in my new condo, and that was to buy proper home insurance. I wanted to make sure that my place was protected in the case of a break-in, fires, or windstorms. But I also didn't want to pay a fortune on home insurance. Who does? So I scouted for the cheapest one I could find at the time. So I found Square One Insurance, and we signed up with them immediately because the monthly premiums made sense for our budget. I also love the fact that Square One's home insurance is customizable. So you can choose exactly what to insure and how much to insure for, so you don't overpay on things that you don't need. Note, I'm not sponsored by Square One, but I do have an affiliate link that gives you a $20 account credit incentive if you purchase home, condo, or tenant insurance. And the link is down below. Full disclaimer, I may earn a small commission if you make a purchase through my link. Now let's continue. The fourth reason that I don't regret my condo purchase is that I could still invest despite buying that condo and minimize the opportunity cost. Let me explain. This connects to our previous discussion about buying the right amount of home. A big reason I do not regret buying a home is that even after buying it, I still had enough money left over to invest consistently. And that was very important to me. You know, guys, that I believe that to grow wealth, you gotta invest your money. And since I'm not expecting my home to deliver that huge growth in wealth, and I also realized that money in my home is not liquid, but it's tied up in the home, I cannot use it, I wanted to have significant funds left to invest elsewhere. At that time, our mortgage payment was around $2,700, but because our household income was growing quite fast at the time, we were still able to invest more than that amount every month. And over the next few years, as our incomes doubled and tripled, the mortgage became a smaller and smaller percentage of our overall financial picture. And of course, in my case, yes, had I rented, I probably could have invested another $800 or $1,000 per month more. But at least by buying the right amount of home, we still had considerable money left to invest. Now, honestly, I don't think it really matters what platform you invest on as long as it's a reputable investment platform, ideally with low fees. But just to share with you, I first started investing on Wealthsimple. But later on, I opened a second investment platform on Questrade, simply because I like having options and don't want to rely on just one investment platform. Questrade has basic investment products like stocks and ETFs, but also bonds, GICs, so it works well for beginners who are starting their investment journey. But Questrade also has more advanced features, so it's also suitable for more advanced users or as a second investment platform like I'm using it. It's also easy to use, and the awesome thing is that unlike many traditional banks and brokers, there are no trading fees for stocks and ETFs on Questrade. So if you think that Questrade is right for you, you can check out the details by clicking my link in the descriptions below. Using that link or code will also get you a $50 bonus just by opening an account with them and funding your account with $250. So to continue my story, in our case, because of our income level and growth, we didn't have to choose between having a home and building wealth. So now, even though the value of my home didn't appreciate, I have investments that did. I can't imagine an alternative scenario though where I would have regretted buying a home. If I'd stretched myself too much and bought a more expensive home than I could afford, where at the end of each month my entire paycheck would be gone after paying my mortgage, then that would have been a bad deal for me. So the question you need to ask yourself when making a home buying decision is this: after all your housing costs, can you still invest consistently and sufficiently? If the answer is no, I would be very cautious, because then you may very likely regret it. When considering what home you can afford, make sure to not just look at the monthly mortgage payments, but also at all the other costs. Condo or maintenance fees, taxes, parking fees, insurance, and so on. These can really add up, at least for us. We're paying another $600 on top of our mortgage, bringing our total expenses to around $3,300 per month. Okay, now here's my next reason I do not regret buying my condo. The most underestimated thing, which is owning my home gave me the stability I needed to grow my income. Before buying my home, there was always this background noise in my mind. Where am I going to move next? How long can I stay here? Can I set up the space in the way that I want? Can I hang things, change things, really make it mine? And that uncertainty takes up mental space. But after buying my condo, a lot of that disappeared. I could finally say, this is my place. I can build my routines here. I can make this space support the kind of life that I'm trying to build. For me, this space, this little condo became not just somewhere that I live, but also a stable base from which I could focus better, work better, and grow my income. And over time, that actually happened. My income grew a lot in these few years. Now, I'm not saying that buying a condo magically makes your business or work succeed. Obviously not. I'm just saying that personally for me, the sense of stability reduced a lot of background stress for me, and that gave me more focus and consistency. And that's really hard to quantify, but it is real. And again, that's why I think home decisions are never just about spreadsheets and numbers. Because if a stable home helps you feel more at peace and helps you earn more, create more, or simply just feel more grounded, that benefit can be very significant, even if it's indirect. By the way, guys, I'm really curious to know where you are with this and why you clicked on this video in the first place. Have you already bought a home and now you're second guessing it a bit? Or are you still deciding whether buying makes sense for you at all? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd really love to hear from you. And here's a reality check. I do want to be very clear. I ended up not regretting my purchase because of my particular circumstances. And if those circumstances were different, I might feel very differently. I think buying is much more likely to become a regret if you did it because you mainly expected quick appreciation, if you bought too much home, or if your payments leave you with nothing to invest, if your income is unstable, or if you may need to sell again in just a few years. That's when the stress of buying a home can really outweigh the benefits. And honestly, I feel really bad for people who regretted buying their home. Sometimes they didn't buy for the wrong reasons. Sometimes they were just stretched too far. Sometimes they bought at a bad time for their specific time horizon. Sometimes they just underestimated all the extra costs. And sometimes they were looking for a feeling of safety, but what they actually created was a situation that feels more financially fragile. So this is not about saying buying is better than renting. I'm saying that buying only works well under certain conditions. If you want to hear more of my in-depth thoughts when it comes to renting versus buying, you can join me in this video next.